Hey, how's it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, November the 1st. All right, let's get things organized here on my end. Cool. All right. There we go. Cool. Well, today is the day after Halloween. Hopefully you had a good night of trick-or-treating. If you did go, I went out with my son Harvey, my wife, and my son and myself. We went out dressed as a family of vampires, and I actually posted a picture of the Hayward family out trick-or-treating last night. If you've seen that, that was posted up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page, and we had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Harvey's 3 years old now, so he's at the age where he understands Halloween, and he had a lot of fun, and we trick-or-treated our whole street, and he got a big bag of candy. Of course, he was all excited and happy about that. So awesome. So what I want to do right now, before we go any further, I just want to make sure this is coming through loud, clear. You can hear me, see me, all that good stuff. So for those of you who are tuned in right now, I know we got several people joining us. If this is coming through loud and clear, can you let me know? If you can hear me, if you can see me, low in the video chat. I'm playing around with different audio settings. Hopefully that's coming through. All right, sound loud and clear, loud and clear. Okay. Last time I didn't realize that I had the settings set and I was using the audio on my webcam, which is not that great. So I have an external mic set up. Hopefully it's coming through loud and clear. Of course, I don't hear it. Only you hear it, Rand, but I think it's working. All right, so the way these video chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour answering questions that you may have with regards to bodybuilding, fitness, getting back in shape, any specific challenges that you're dealing with when it comes to your workouts, your nutrition program, building muscle, losing fat, all that kind of stuff. Feel free to post those questions and topics of discussion in our video chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our chat today. Now, if you're brand new to these video chats, this is your first time tuning in, I want to welcome you. It's always nice to have new people tuning in. And if this is your first time attending a live Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat, type the letter N in the chat window. Let me know. Type the letter N for new. And if you are a regular, you've been tuning into these before, we got a lot of people who've been doing this week after week after week, and it's always nice to see the regulars coming back. If you are a regular, type the letter R into the chat window and let me know. All right, let's see what we got here. We have some questions coming through, several people joining us. All right, first question. This one is about creatine. Does creatine cause hair loss? Honestly, no, it doesn't. If you go reading the forums or the social media and stuff like that, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff about this. But honestly, hair loss comes down to genetics. Like if you are genetically predisposed to lose your hair, you're going to lose it regardless if you take creatine or not. And I'm going to give you a prime example. Think of everybody that you know in your personal life. Friends, family members, neighbors, teachers at school, co-workers, everybody that you know who has lost their hair. How many of them are on creatine? I would say most of them who are bald and lost their hair have never taken creatine in their life, unless, of course, they're gym buffs and they're in working out, and they have been for years. Like I'm just thinking, my neighbor across the street, actually I have two neighbors across the street, live right next door to each other. Neither one of them have a hair on their head. Neither one of them have been in the gym, I don't think, ever. And of course, neither one of them have ever taken creatine, and they don't have a hair on their head. So you can't blame their hair loss on creatine. I have my uncle of mine, poor bugger, he started to lose his hair at age 13. I don't know what it was, but something genetically, he started to lose his hair at age 13. And as a teenager, he actually wore a wig for a while. But now he's just, got to the point where he just shaves it all off and he doesn't care anymore. But he never take creatine. He never worked out a day in his life, and he never took creatine a day in his life. Like most people who are bald have never taken creatine. So you can't blame hair loss on creatine. Is it going to speed up the process? I really don't know. I mean, I've got a decent head of hair, and I've been taking creatine since 1995. So, it's knock on wood, I still got my hair. So there. Moving on. Next question. Let's see what we got. We have Lego in Mind joining us. Matthias is joining us. How do you lose the love handles? All right, this is a question here. How do I lose love handles? Honestly, that's going to come down to losing fat all over. Like, there's no specific exercise or specific diet or anything that is going to cause you to lose love handles. But what you will find is areas like around the midsection for guys. That whole belly area is the most stubborn, slowest area to lose. So you're going to get lean in your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your legs. You're going to get lean in all those areas before you get lean in that stubborn area right around the middle, that spare tire. You know, the belly button, the love handle area, all that is the last to lose. So the secret to losing the love handles is to diet longer. Like, stick with it. I mean, just because you've lost fat in your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your legs, don't give up. Like, that's the easy spots to lose the fat from. So once you've lost it from there, then once you keep losing it, now you're going to start to tap into that stubborn body fat right around the middle. So the secret is to keep losing fat longer, not giving up. And that's the biggest problem that most people have when it comes to fat loss. It's not that it's overly complicated. It's not that they don't know what to do. It's that they don't do it long enough to get the results. They think they're going to diet for a few weeks or maybe a few months, and then that's it. But this has to be a long-term commitment. And most people are not going to achieve their fat loss goals in the matter of a few weeks or a few months. It's going to take a long time. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that most people who are struggling with losing body fat, you need to look at it as in a year-long commitment or more. And you wrap your head around that right from the start. Like, if you go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get ripped in a few weeks, or I'm going to get ripped in a couple months or something like that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still make progress in the matter of a few weeks, and you can make noticeable progress, but it's not going to be enough to get to the point where you have the lean, athletic, muscular physique that you desire, unless you're already super close to that and you've only got like maybe 10 pounds of excess body fat to lose. I mean, if you're that close, like, you've got a 4-pack and now you want to get a 6-pack. Okay, yeah, you can probably do that in a couple months. But if you have a belly roll, love handles, and you have visible excess body fat, right? You're not going to lose that in a matter of a few weeks or a few months, right? It's going to take a long-term commitment. And ultimately, visualize a year. Like, give yourself that much of a time frame, like kind of set your sights on that. And it's going to take you a solid year to achieve those goals. And if you set yourself up for that and you commit to the process and you follow through with it, your odds of success are going to go up. If you try and lose it in a matter of a few weeks, then what happens is after a few weeks, you're like, well, I'm still fat. What am I doing wrong? And you get discouraged and quit, right? But you have to have that vision to realize it takes longer. And this is one of the drawbacks when it comes to fitness and fat loss, is a lot of people have these. I blame the fitness industry in general, because so many people are promising these quick fix solutions, like lose 30 pounds in 30 days type of miracle weight loss programs. And anything like that is a crock of BS, right? You have to have a more realistic, longer term vision when it comes to your fitness and fat loss goals. All right, let's move on. Actually, I'm going to get a drink. I'm a bit parched here. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Questions coming through. Hayward Woodworker joining us. Jesse is joining us. RC joining us. Okay. Sean is joining us. He says, any thoughts on the feeding window? Eat 8 hours, fast 16 hours. All right, intermittent fasting. I've used intermittent fasting in the past, and it's another tool that you have available in your whole diet, exercise, strategy tools. That's all it is. It's just another strategy. There's nothing magical about intermittent fasting. Honestly, it's not. Now, for some people, it can help you to control your appetite, because if you simply eat fewer meals, it's sometimes easier to eat fewer calories, because a lot of times people have they want to eat a set amount of food per meal. And once you get full and satiated from that meal, it's easier to just stay within your allotted calories if you simply eat fewer meals. So for example, instead of doing, the eating 5 or 6 meals a day, like a traditional bodybuilding type of diet plan, if you eat, let's just say within an 8-hour window, you're eating maybe 2 meals a day, then obviously 2 big meals is probably going to be less calories than say 5 or 6 small meals. And those bigger meals probably will give you more eating satisfaction. And that's how you can stay within the calorie requirements for losing body fat. But honestly, what matters the most is not when you eat, but what you eat and how much you eat. Regardless if you eat your food spaced out over the course of the day, like 6 small meals, whether you have 1 ginormous meal, whether you have 3 squares a day, whatever, what matters the most is how much you eat and what you eat, not so much when you eat it. Like, you can still get fat intermittent fasting. Absolutely. I mean, if you eat junk food, like for example, you could starve yourself all day long and then go to the all-you-could-eat buffet, put yourself in a caloric surplus and still get fat. Right? Just because you fast for several hours throughout the day and you only eat 1 big meal, or you eat within an 8-hour window, or whatever rules you structure your fast around, that's not going to cancel out the laws of calories in versus calories out. If you overeat, even if you overeat in 1 meal, you can still gain fat. It's not a free ticket to eat whatever you want. Now, I know some people use it as a free ticket to eat whatever they want. And if they're only eating, within a small feeding window, they may get away with it, but it's not guaranteed. And this is how it worked for me, because I followed it for a while, and I was a big proponent of it because I found that it did help. But this is what happened. After about a year of intermittent fasting, what I've found was it got to the point where I hit a plateau. So first, when I started, like the first few months, I noticed significant fat loss from intermittent fasting. After that, it kind of slowed down. Like, I was still keeping my weight in check, but it wasn't the same level of fat loss that I experienced early on. And then after about a year, I just kind of got into the habit of it because it's so convenient to intermittent fast. Like, you don't have to prepare meals throughout the day. You don't need to worry about food throughout the day. You just eat within your feeding window. I mean, from the convenience point of view, it's awesome, right? So, I mean, I just kind of got hooked on that whole intermittent fasting lifestyle. So I do all my work and tasks and chores early in the day, never even had to stop for food. And then later in the day, I would start eating. But the problem I found is once I started eating, like, I had an enormous appetite and I just couldn't satiate it. So I would have to eat more and more food to satisfy my hunger, because my blood sugar would end up being so low from all day of not eating that once I started eating, like, I just couldn't satisfy my hunger. So what I decided to do is I said, I'm going to go back to more of a traditional bodybuilding diet and eating more frequently throughout the day. And by doing that, it actually helped to stabilize my blood sugar and stabilize my hunger. So right now I eat probably 4 or 5 meals a day, spaced out throughout the day. So I'll have breakfast, I'll have lunch, I'll have a dinner, and I usually have a snack before bed. And I might have another snack throughout the day as well, depending on my appetite. So I eat more of a balanced diet throughout the day. And I find that has actually worked really well for me. And just spacing out my meals actually helped me to spike my metabolism. It helped me to gain some more muscle. And I actually feel better working out now when I have a meal in my system. I mean, I've done both. I've worked out with food in my system, and I've worked out in fasted states. And I mean, you can still make progress regardless if you're training fasted or fed. But I just found that once I switched back to eating more frequently throughout the day, it helped to spike my metabolism, and it took my fat loss to another level, and it helped me to control my appetite. So now I don't get that, ravishingly hungry sensation later in the day where I just can't control my appetite anymore. I can eat more normal size meals and feel satiated from them and eat more frequently throughout the day. So, like I say, I've done both. I've done the intermittent fasting, made progress with it. I've done frequent meals throughout the day, made progress with it. Ultimately, what it comes down to is the food you eat, the calories intake, not the timing. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Now, with that being said, I will still use intermittent fasting occasionally to help keep things under control. Like, for example, if I know I'm going out to say like we're going out to a restaurant and I know, okay, chances are I'm going to be eating more than I should at the restaurant, then I'll probably incorporate intermittent fasting throughout the day just to kind of create room for those extra calories later in the day. Like very often when I'm traveling, that's what I'll do, especially when I'm eating out in restaurants and not in control of my meal plan as much. I'll use intermittent fasting as a tool to help keep my calories in check. But when I'm at home and I'm in control of my meals and I have everything structured out the way that I want, I like to eat more frequently. So it's like I say, recap, I just kind of gave you a big old rant on my personal experience with it. But bottom line, it's nothing magical about this 16-hour fast, 8-hour feeding window or any of the other variations. It all comes down to the actual foods that you eat, not when you eat them. All right, we have another question here. What do you think is better for overall bicep development, the easy curl or the straight barbell? Honestly, the one that you use, right? The one that you use consistently is going to be the best for development. Now, with that being said, if you use a straight barbell and you have your hands supinated all the way around so that your palms are facing up, it automatically peaks your biceps. And you can actually look at it like, you just take your hands and you rotate them, right? Like if I rotate my hands, my biceps actually flex without doing anything else, right? I know my biceps aren't huge, but you can still see the action happening there. So if you have your palms facing up, it automatically like pre-flexes the bicep to a certain degree. So you may get a bit more bicep activation when you use a straight barbell. The downside to it is some people find it uncomfortable on the wrist joints or the elbows or whatever. So if it's uncomfortable and it prevents you from training as heavy or just even doing the exercise at all, then you'll probably be better off using the easy curl bar. Now, if you can do both comfortably, I would probably opt for the straight barbell just for that whole action of getting that pre-activation in the biceps right from the start. Whereas if you're using an easy curl bar, you don't get that same degree of bicep flexion with that barbell because your hands are not supinated all the way around. But bottom line, you can still make progress with either one of the bars as long as you train it consistently and train it in a progressive overload fashion. So it's really a personal situation, right? If you find the straight barbell causes pain, discomfort, you can't perform it comfortably, opt for the easy curl bar. I mean, the one that you use more consistently is obviously going to produce the better results. Okay, Sean is saying, currently what I'm doing, I read a lot about it, but not spoke to people personally who have done it. Those who do it aid in assisting conditions such as diabetes. It's a follow-up to the fasting question. Okay, so he's doing it a lot right now. And hey, if it's working for you, keep following it. Like I used intermittent fasting for a full year and I made progress for a full year. But after that, it started to plateau for me. So then I decided, I'm going to just keep beating my head against the wall. I'm going to try something different. Same with your workouts. I mean, if you might follow a set program and make great progress for weeks or months in a row, but once it stops working for you, like have the whereabouts and the common sense to realize, okay, it's not working anymore. Let's try something different. Same applies with your diets, with your workouts. Like continuing to do the same thing over and over again that's not working and hope that you're going to somehow get a different result. That's don't fall into that trap. As soon as you realize a certain approach is not working, then it's okay to change your approach, right? I changed my workouts, I changed my nutrition plan based on how my body is responding. And you can do that with your workouts. And what you'll even find is sometimes as you go through several different training cycles, you can sometimes go back to the ones that previously had worked and then plateaued. And when you go back to them again, like several months later, you can experience a whole new growth spurt all over again. Same with nutrition. Like you can go through different styles of nutrition, different diet cycles or whatever. And then when you sometimes go back to one that you probably plateaued with before, but you follow it now several months later, it may work for you because it's unique for your body at that stage. So that's sometimes why it can be confusing, because our body is constantly changing. Like the diet that's for you in the past may not necessarily be the one that you need to follow at this stage of the game, but you need to have that awareness of how your body is responding and adjust it accordingly. Right. Okay, let's see what else we have. Anthony is joining us. Says he wants to improve strength and stamina. Good for you. I don't know. Go to the gym. That would be a good place. I don't know if you have any specific questions or anything, challenges with regards to strength and stamina, but going to the gym and working out, combination of weight training and cardiovascular exercise would definitely be a great place to start. And if you would like some more elaboration on that question, feel free to post it in the chat and I'll try and elaborate on that. And with that being said, like I know with these questions, I'm kind of giving a generic answer for a lot of them. And I do, because most of the time I don't know the individual or their situation or the context behind the question. But if you would like some help with your workouts or your nutrition program, would like, a more detailed answer or more, customized program or solution for you, send me an email, leeh@leehayward.com. And I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you offline where we can really go into in more depth with your individual situation and lay out a realistic action plan that's right for you. Because obviously with these video chats, I mean, I try and give, generic answers, but it might not necessarily be specific for the individual because, I don't know everything about somebody by a one-line question, right? Simply saying, I want to improve my strength and stamina. And I don't know your age, your fitness level, your work, your fitness history, any of that stuff about you. So, I mean, it's hard for me to kind of give any specific answer. I don't have any context to back it up with. Roshan is joining us. Anthony is joining us. Let's see what else we got here. Anthony saying his training goal is to lift heavier and gain strength. All right. Dave is joining us. Says, I love your video chats. Catch them every week from down under. Awesome. So assuming down under would mean Australia. And I appreciate that. I've never been to that part of the world. I've never been down under. And that's somewhere where I would love to go. Like I was actually having a chat with a coaching student of mine actually recently. His name is Aiden, signed up for my one-on-one coaching from down in New Zealand. And our time zones are like virtually the complete opposite. What I mean, like I think it's like 12 hours he's 12 hours in the future. So, right, if we're having a conversation, like 6 a.m. for him is like 6 p.m. for me or vice versa, right? So it makes it interesting when we have to schedule our coaching calls and stuff. But yeah, I'd definitely love to visit that whole part of the world someday. Brent is joining us. This is great advice about making these things a lifestyle. You're only half in if it's only exercise, not nutrition, and vice versa. Rock on. All right. Thanks, Brent. Glad you enjoy the video chat and the advice. Okay, let's see what else we got. Adam is joining us. He says, Lee, I'm 37 years old, just had my testosterone levels checked and not making strength gains and low energy. They're at the bottom of the range. Should I consider TRT or just with it? That's something you should really discuss with your doctor, right? I mean, I'm personally not a doctor and I don't know your individual situation, but I'll just kind of share what I know about the subject. I mean, I know a lot of guys who are using hormone replacement therapy. Most of them tend to be like 50s, 60s and beyond, but I know guys who are in their 40s and even in their 30s who are using hormone replacement therapy. I mean, you have to realize, like, if your hormone levels are low, and you're, pushing 40 plus, like it's not going to return on its own. Like you're on the back nine, right? I mean, like things are on the downslope. Like it's not going to bounce back on its own, regardless of how clean you eat, regardless of whatever, over the counter natural testosterone boosters you take. Like it's not going to bounce back to any great degree. So if you have low testosterone or low growth hormone or low thyroid or low whatever, you may need to look into hormone replacement therapy, all right, to really correct it. Now, if it's still within the normal range and that there are some areas in your lifestyle that you can improve, like your diet's not optimal. You know, your workout routine is not optimal. You know, you're not getting enough sleep. You know, you're drinking too much alcohol, and all these things that you know could be having a negative impact. Fix that first. Like, correct the lifestyle situation first, right? And if you know your diet is crap, then clean up the diet, right? If you're drinking too much booze, then cut out the booze, right? If you're not getting, 8 hours of sleep a night, then start improving your sleep habits. All these things, like, it's not one thing. It's the little things stacked up. So if you focus on improving your diet, exercise, lifestyle habits, and then go get your hormone levels checked again and see if there was an improvement. And if there was an improvement, then hey, keep doing that. You'll try and maximize the natural means of improvement first. But if you're already doing that, like your diet is squeaky clean, like you're eating spot on, like 90% of the time. You're getting 8 hours of sleep all the time. You're in the gym, 3-4 days a week. You're consistent. If all that stuff is spot on and then your hormone levels are still low, then that's when you want to look into hormone replacement therapy, because you're doing everything in your power at that stage of the game, and it's obviously not, you're just on the natural decline, and it's going to bounce back on its own. But again, this is something that you want to talk with your doctor, get the blood work. Don't just go trying to do it on your own. Like, don't go to the underground sources and getting bathtub brew and just trying to wing it on your own, because God knows what you're going to get yourself into, right? Be smart about it. There's nowadays, I can't speak for everywhere in the world, but I know in North America, there's a lot of hormone replacement specialists. There's a lot of clinics that offer this type of services. You can get your blood work. You can do it properly with doctor supervision. And that would be what I would recommend. And I have had coaching clients who have went that route, and most of them feel so much better once they started to get their hormones back into the normal range again, right? They have more energy, they got more sex drive, their recovery, their strength, their energy, like all the stuff that makes you feel like a man starts to improve, right? Your confidence improves, like it's so much. So, absolutely. If you're on the decline, then definitely, go discuss it with your doctor and see what your options are, and, go for it. Like I say, it's something that can make a big difference in your overall health and fitness. Because, like on that whole topic, people think, testosterone is bad, but having too low of testosterone has its whole slew of negative side effects that are just as bad, if not worse, than having too much testosterone. And of course, if you're doing it under doctor supervision, you're going to have optimal levels of testosterone. Anyway, let us move on. What else we got here? Anthony is joining us. He says, idea training plan for strength and stamina. I guess he means the ideal training plan for strength and stamina. Sorry for the repeat message. I'm getting used to this chat feature on live YouTube. Okay, well, welcome, Anthony. I guess you're probably new to the video chat if you're still getting used to the whole live video chat, live chat feature. And honestly, YouTube is changing this all the time, right? Like the whole platform that I'm using here, I'm not sure so much on the user end, but I know from the streaming side of things, they've totally changed how it works, over the last month or so, right? They're constantly changing the whole setup here. But again, the ideal training plan for strength and stamina, I'm going to share what I do personally. And this is what I would recommend you to start with. And again, I'm assuming you're probably new to the gym, not working out. So if that's the case, I would recommend 3 days a week, every other day, on non-consecutive days, that is, go to the gym for a strength training workout. So you could start with a total body workout. It could be an upper lower body split or something like that. But bottom line, strength train 3 days a week. And then on your off days from strength training, do some form of cardiovascular exercise. It could be getting outside for a walk. It could be a bicycle ride. It could be going to the gym for using the cardio machines. It could be playing sports, swimming, whatever. But alternate weight training one day and cardio the next. And this is going to work your body in a complementary fashion, because when you weight train, you break down the muscle tissue. This is what's going to stimulate the strength. This is what's going to stimulate hypertrophy, but you're breaking down muscle tissue. Then when you rest and recover from that weight training, that's when your body has a time to rest, recover, and grow. a big mistake that a lot of people make is think, oh, I'm going to work out every single day and I'm going to get huge and jacked as quick as possible. But it's like digging a hole and you're just digging yourself into a rut. You need to allow the rest and recovery time in order to grow. If you don't have adequate rest and recovery, you're not going to make progress. So you need to allow that time. And I've found from personal experience, most people tend to make their best gains if you do it on alternate days. So work out one day, take the next day off, work out one day, take the next day off, because that allows enough time for your body to rest, recover, and grow. But then on those off days from weight training, you can still do some low intensity exercise like cardio. Cardio is not as stressful to the central nervous system. It's not breaking down the muscle tissue to the same degree, but it's like active recovery. So you're still getting fresh air and oxygen circulating throughout your body, getting blood flow and the benefits of exercise, but it's not breaking down the muscle tissue like strength training. So that's why I personally alternate weight training one day, cardio the next. And I refer to it as my yin and yang training system, because it's alternating the high intensity weight training with the low intensity cardio in a very complementary way to train. And it's great for building muscle, losing body fat, and of course, improving your strength and stamina as well. And just your overall health. I mean, because you get the benefits of daily exercise, but you're working with your body's natural recovery system. Okay, let us move on after a quick sip of water. Amtons is joining us. He says, Lee, if I do push-pull legs hitting body parts once a week, will I get the same gains doing it twice a week, taking that I get the correct rest, sleep, etc.? Honestly, it really depends on what you physically can recover from. And another thing you have to consider as well is the total volume for the week. So like if you're training each body part once per week and you're doing, let's just say you're doing 20 sets for each major muscle group. But then you decide, okay, I want to split it up over, hit each body part twice per week. Well, let's say you're doing 2 workouts of 10 sets per each major muscle group. You know, the volume for the week is the same, but it may or may not work better for you. It really depends. Like with all these scenarios, like there's so many variables in place. Like personally, what I would try and do is I would do it once a week and see how your body responds. If you're making progress, then keep doing it. And if you hit a plateau, then you could try, doing it twice a week. The only drawback to push-pull legs twice a week is you're in the gym 6 days a week. I mean, six days a week doesn't give you a lot of time for rest and recovery because you're basically in the gym every single day. So that's the downside of that. I like to have days off from the gym to just let my body rest, recover, and grow. And not only physically, but mentally as well. I mean, I find that if giving yourself a break from the gym, where you're not in there every single day, is refreshing, because then you actually look forward to those workouts. Whereas if you're doing it every single day, week after week, it can get a bit monotonous, and you kind of, after a while, you're going to crave a break, right? It's just like if you had to go to school every single day without a day off, or you had to go to work every single day without a break, right? If you're going to the gym every single day, or in this case, 6 days a week, it just gets a bit monotonous, right? You're probably going to start to crave a break. And that's why I like the 3 days a week or the every other day schedule, because you get that time off from the gym. And then I find that not only do you feel rested, recovered, so that when you do work out, you can really give it 100%, but mentally you're refreshed and you actually look forward to the workouts as well. So that's why I'm personally a huge fan of 3 day per week workouts. Like looking back over my training history, I've always made my best progress 3 days per week or every other day, however you want to structure it. Jesse's asking, when should you ever do a recomp phase? All right. A recomp phase. And I'm assuming when you say recomp phase, correct me if I'm wrong, you mean build muscle, lose body fat. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Honestly, that's the way I train year round. Like my whole philosophy of training for myself, for most of the people that I coach, is always in that recomposition, where we're trying to burn body fat while building lean muscle at the same time. And for most people, that is very realistic and very possible. I mean, I know there's a lot of, like if you go on social media, you'll see some people say, oh, it's impossible to build muscle while losing body fat. And it really depends on the situation. Like for the average person who's trying to work out and get in shape, absolutely, you can lose body fat while increasing your lean muscle mass. It's only at the elite levels, like you're looking at like top level competitive bodybuilders and top level athletes who've already, have pretty much maximized their potential. Well, not truly maximized it, but they're higher up the ranking of reaching their genetic potential. When you're at the elite levels, in order to gain more muscle, you probably are going to have to, gain some body fat in the process. In order to lose body fat, you may have to sacrifice a little bit of lean mass in the process. But again, we're talking about people who are at the top of their game, and they're already at a level which most people would like be super pleased to even get close to, right? I mean, again, you look at the physique of a top level fitness competitor, physique competitor, bodybuilder. I mean, most of us are not going to look anywhere near that. So, I mean, you're looking at those guys. That's where gaining muscle, losing fat, you really have to nitpick with the details and the variables. But the average person who's overweight and out of shape or who's skinny fat, absolutely, they can lose fat and build muscle at the same time, right? You can do that. So, I mean, that's recomp, right? Recomposition just basically is a fancy way of saying improving your body composition. And that's what I focus on with myself. That's what I focus on with my personal coaching students. 99% of them are in a recomp phase all the time, where they're trying to lose body fat while increasing their lean muscle and improving their health, strength, and fitness at the same time. Mossy is joining us saying, mate, you're looking trim and fit. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it. It's a work in progress. Peters is joining us. He says, any rules of thumb regarding grams of carbohydrates to fuel workout energy needs like with protein and muscle? Yes, I do have some generic rules of thumb. I personally recommend keeping your macronutrients in a 1/3 ratio. So 1/3 of your calories from protein, 1/3 of your calories from carbohydrates, and 1/3 of your calories from fat. I found through personal experience, through coaching numerous people, that 1/3 ratio works really well. It's not only do you get that balanced nutrition, but it prevents you from the negative pitfalls of really high carb and really low fat, or really low carb, really high fat, or the extreme, like you get the vegans and the plant-based people who are eating really, really high carb and really low protein. Like, anytime you start messing with the ratios and you throw it out of whack, you tend to not feel as good. Like if you've ever followed like a really low carb diet, most people who follow a very low carb diet usually don't feel well following it. You usually have low energy levels, even though it can be great temporarily for burning body fat. Generally, over the long term, it's not like a something that you're going to follow for the rest of your life, right? It's not like a long-term maintainable lifestyle approach. Same if you go like super low fat, it's generally not maintainable, because what happens if you go really low carb, sometimes you feel low energy, you feel flat, you feel depleted. And then of course, if you do eat carbs, you get this big rebound because your body starts to absorb all the glycogen and water weight again, and it just kind of throws things out of whack. If you go really low fat, you tend to not have much eating satiation, so it kind of can throw your appetite out of whack. Of course, if you go low protein, you're not providing your body with the building blocks it needs for building muscle and building tissue. So I find just that 1/3 ratio, 1/3 protein, 1/3 carbs, 1/3 fat, it works so well. I mean, you feel good, you feel healthy, you feel satiated when you have that balance in place. Now, one thing I will mention, when you are going with that, don't go by counting 1/3 grams. Like, for example, let's say you're going for 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs. It doesn't mean you should have 200 grams of fat, because fat is more calorie dense than protein and carbs, right? Protein has 4 calories per gram, carbs has 4 calories per gram, fat has 9 calories per gram. So just to put some numbers there, if you want 1/3 ratios, let's say you someone's going to have 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbohydrates. They might have like 90-ish grams of fat, maybe even a little bit less than that, but just kind of put it in proportion, right? That's would give you the 1/3 ratios. Go by the calorie ratios, not grams, because again, fat grams are more than twice as calorie dense as protein and carb grams. But yeah, that's my general rule of thumb, and that's what I would recommend you follow. If you want to see a sample of that, I actually have a full day of eating video posted up on YouTube, which, I'm going to be posting more videos similar to that, but it just, gives you a real life example of that. Okay, let's see. Do heavy weights decrease your height? No, they do not. That is a myth, and it's not backed up by real world application whatsoever. Some of the tallest people lift heavy weights. Prime example, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, I don't know what he is, like 6'2" or 6'3" or something along those lines. He lifted heavy weights at a young age, from a teenager. I mean, he was competing in powerlifting as a teenager. He's over 6 feet tall. Lou Ferrigno, right? The Incredible Hulk, lifted weights from a teenager, lifted heavy, and he's, well, I don't know, 6'5" or something like that. Like a lot of people, your height is determined by your genetics. It's not determined by what exercise you do. Like if you lift weights or you don't lift weights, you're going to grow to be the same height regardless. It's determined by genetics, not by what exercises you do or exercises you don't do. John is joining us. He's new to the video chat. And welcome, John. Glad to have you joining us. What else we have? Okay, another question here. After doing squats, I have pain in my left testicle. What does it indicate? Please tell me. All right, sorry for the giggle there, but I actually made a video about testicle pain while squatting, and I honestly can't even remember the content of the video. I just know the fact that I made a video because I had somebody message me about that before. But bottom line, if you have pain in your gentleman parts, go to your doctor and get it checked out. Do not go typing on social media and asking on YouTube, like, hey, my balls pain, what do I do? Like, go to your doctor and get it checked out. Like, that is not normal, right? You're not supposed to have pain in your testicles. So it's probably, it might not be anything major. It might be something major. I don't know. Go get it checked out. Like, don't leave stuff like that to chance, right? I mean, like, if you had, like, you trained legs and your muscles were sore after your workout or something like that, I said, okay, that's normal, right? You train legs and your balls are sore after your workout, that's not normal. Like, go to your doctor, get it checked out. Like, seriously, don't go asking on social media or Google searching it. Like, seriously, man, like, do yourself a favor, get it checked out. Make sure that it's not something more serious. Anthony is joining us. Saul is joining us. What was the email address again? Okay, if you would like some help, you want to ask me questions about your training, nutrition, whatever, or you're interested in coaching, leeh@leehayward.com. leeh@leehayward.com. That goes directly to me. I'll type it in the video chat for you. leeh@leehayward.com. There. You can contact me there if you have questions or you would like some help with laying out a personalized program for you. Okay, we have Mossy from Australia joining us, Ricky from the UK joining in, Steve tuning in. Hey guys, nice to have you. Steve saying, I'm crap with diet plans, but my training is fine. You know what? A lot of guys fall into that category, right? Because I'm not saying it's easy to work out, but like most guys actually enjoy going to the gym and working out once they get into the routine of working out. Like when you're brand new and trying to get started, going to the gym can be intimidating. But once you get over that initiation phase and you actually start going to the gym and you feel like you belong at the gym and you got some friends at the gym and you just enjoy it. I mean, it becomes a part of your day, and most guys actually look forward to their workouts. Like I look forward to going to the gym. I really do. It's just, it's just that me time, right? I've got an hour where I'm going to focus on myself, and it's just nice to, nothing else matters while I'm at the gym. Like all the stress that you have, your work, your responsibilities, your chores, your bills, your whatever, like forget all that. For the next hour, it's just you, the weights. This is like your personal space, right? Where you can just go in there and do your thing and forget all your troubles and woes. And it's just awesome. It's like active meditation, right? So I love the gym, and most people who get into the habit of regular workouts actually do enjoy their workouts. They enjoy going to the gym, and the same applies. I mean, you can enjoy doing your cardio and all that as well. You enjoy exercise, but the nutrition can be challenging, and it really takes changing your mindset, changing your mindset and how you view nutrition, because we're constantly bombarded with temptations. Like everywhere you go, you are tempted by junk and processed food and empty calories. Like you cannot turn on the television without seeing ads for fast food, junk food, snack food, whatever. You can't go to a store these days without being bombarded by it. I mean, like once upon a time, you would have to go to the grocery store to get food. Now food is everywhere. Like you go to the gas station, there's more food for sale than there is stuff for your car. Right? The shelves are stocked with chips and bars and cake and cookies and pop and crap, right? Even you go to the hardware store, right? I kid you not. You go to the hardware store, a place where you're going to buy, hammer and nails and wood and tools. And what do you see at the checkouts? They've got coolers set up where you can buy like fizzy drinks, and they got chip racks, and they got chocolate bars. Like everywhere you go, you are bombarded with garbage. Pure, utter crap that's just going to do nothing but, cause you to gain fat, spike your blood sugar, and, throw your health out of whack. So sticking to a healthy diet can be challenging. Like you really have to change your focus and see all that as just like stuff that you do not touch. Like I've kind of conditioned myself over the years that I don't even see that stuff anymore. Like I just know that is crap. Like I associate that with obesity and diabetes and sickness and death. Like seriously, when I see junk food, that's what I link up in my mind. I see overweight, obesity, diabetes, sickness, death. Because I've seen people die from, the complications of diabetes, and it's not fun, to watch people getting their toes amputated, and then their feet amputated, and then their legs amputated, and they lose their eyesight, and their health just deteriorates, and they rot from the inside out. Like that's what I see when I see junk food, right? I don't see the pleasure of, oh, I'm going to eat candy and feel good and yay. I see sickness and death. And that's when I link that up inside, that's why I don't have the cravings for junk food, because I just kind of conditioned myself. That's sickness and death. That's not pleasure. And you really need to kind of make that shift for yourself. It's not an easy shift to make, but when you can do it, it makes the process so much easier. Just like how you can condition your mind to go to the gym and lift weights, exert, pain and work on your body, but associate it with pleasure. You can make that same link in your mind to associate pain to the junk food and the processed food that's going to cause ultimate long-term pain. You can make that link in your mind. And when you do, it gets a lot easier to stick to a healthy diet. I know that was kind of a long-winded answer to a simple comment on my chat, but I think it served a purpose somewhere. All right, let's move on. Matthias is joining us, and he says, does smoking pot or cigarettes affect muscle gains? I'm 26 years old. I'm 195 pounds. I'm 5'9". Honestly, yes. It's certainly going to have effects. I mean, anything you do like that is going to have effects, right? I mean, I'm not going to even elaborate on that. Like you can go on Google and do search for the negative effects of smoking, blah, blah, blah. I don't think there's anybody in the modern day that has not been exposed to the idea that, smoking cigarettes could potentially be harmful at some level, right? Now, does that mean that you can't smoke and make gains? Of course you can. You can still smoke and you can still make gains, because it's not one thing that's going to make or break your progress. It's all the little things combined, right? I know bodybuilders who smoke and they're still big, muscular, ripped, whatever, because even though they're doing that, they're probably doing a lot of other things that are right, like going to the gym on a regular basis, eating clean, healthy food, getting adequate sleep, and like all the diet, training, the nutrition, the lifestyle. They're probably doing the majority of it, but they have this one vice, which is smoking. And in some cases, that actually, in a messed up way, helps, because sometimes they might use that as an appetite suppressant to help keep their diet in check. Now, I'm not saying that I recommend it, but it's just a fact of the matter. And for some reason, I find a lot of European bodybuilders, a lot of French bodybuilders, they tend to smoke more than non-European, non-French body. Like, that was one thing I noticed when I went to the Canadian Nationals a few years back with my wife. She competed at the figure nationals. All the French figure competitors and bikini competitors, and even a lot of the guys who were competitive bodybuilders, like the French, like, were just outside the building, like smoking away in between, like when they were waiting for their time to be on stage. Like, the competition happened to be in the summertime, so it was really warm outside. So a lot of people were outside, at the venue where we had the Canadian Nationals. And that's one thing I noticed. Like, all these French bodybuilders were just out smoking away. I mean, they were in awesome shape, but still they were all sucking on cigarettes. And that's something that I don't see a lot of outside of that culture, right? I don't know. For some reason, French and European smoking is more common. But like here in North America, outside of Quebec, of course, I find smoking is not very common. It's kind of like shunned upon. And most people that I know personally are non-smokers, especially if they're involved with health and fitness. But to answer your question, can you still make gains? Yes, you can, but obviously it's not going to help. It's going to be a hindrance. And I personally wouldn't recommend it, but do your own, make your own decision on that one. Keon is joining us. Lee, we emailed each other a few months ago. I figured out my issues on my nutrition. I had been under eating and wasn't getting efficient sleep. Got a new new schedule, and figured it out. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you've got your fixed a few of those issues. I mean, obviously, nutrition, sleep, lifestyle, like I said before, it's not one thing. It's all these things combined. Right? I mean, you could have the perfect workout program. You could be consistent with it, but if you don't follow it up with proper nutrition, you're not going to make the gains that you want, right? You could have proper nutrition, proper training. If you're getting shit sleep, you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, that's going to shortchange your gains. Like, you need all this stuff working for you if you're going to optimize this. But again, good for you. I'm glad to hear that you've fixed a few of those issues and that you're starting to make progress again. Okay. 3 comments coming up. Okay. That's from Azim. I'll keep an eye out for those 3 comments as they come up. John's joining us. He says, do you think the joints of the body have a finite number of flexions in them? Some say as you get older, you should not do high reps and sets to conserve wear and tear on them. I really don't know. I mean, this is my thought on that. No, I don't believe the joints have a finite number of flexions. I mean, our joints are not like a hinge on a door, where eventually the thing is going to break and crack. Like, our joints can rebuild and regenerate, like with proper training, proper nutrition, living a healthy lifestyle. Your body can rebuild joint tissue, cartilage, all that kind of stuff. So I don't believe that there's a finite number of flexions in a joint. And in fact, I would say the opposite is true. The less you use it, the faster it's going to wear out, because you look at people, in your own personal life who probably have the most aches and pains and are the most crippled and, immobile. They're usually the people who are the least active. Like, I know a lot of neighbors, family members, people who've had a lot of sickness and disease and mobility issues. And these are not people who are going to the gym and exercising on a regular basis. They're not even walking. I'm not going to mention people specifically, but I just know a lot of people in my personal life. The ones who are the most sedentary, the most lazy, they're the ones with the most aches and pains. The people who are active and going to the gym, even if they're older, like in their 60s, 70s and beyond, like I've see some guys at the gym, like in their 60s and 70s. We even have a lady at the gym recently. She's in her 80s. Like, these people are not complaining of aches and pains and stuff because they're using their body and they're keeping themselves strong, healthy, and active. The ones who are not using their body are the ones who usually end up having the most problems. So I would say in that situation, John, the opposite is true. The more you use it, the better you will be. All right. Dark Knight is joining us. He says, Lee, any advice to building muscle at 40 years old compared to when you're 25 or 30? Yes, I do have a lot of advice on that because I'm in that stage now, the 40 plus stage. And the biggest difference that comes as you get older is you have to respect your body more. Like the same principles apply. Like you still have to train, eat right, rest, all that stuff, but you have to be more respectful of your body. When you are younger, you can get away with more stupid stuff, for lack of a better word. Like when I was younger, like I would sometimes lift too heavy, use shitty form, not warm up properly. And just because I had youth on my side, I would get away with it. But I would never be able to do that anymore. Like it's crazy. Like, for example, sometimes you see young guys coming in off the street, like walk into the gym, take their coat off, go over to the bench press, put 2 plates aside, and then try and do a 1 rep max, right? Like no warm up, no nothing. Just I've literally seen it. Like come in, total stupidity. And they take the barbell off the rack, staple to the bench, straining and struggling, get their spotter to lift it off them. But they didn't hurt anything because they have youth on their side. If you take someone who's in, 40 plus, your body is not as forgiving. So if I went into the gym totally cold and tried to do a 1 rep max bench press with no warm, chances are I would, pull, strain, or pop something. Right? Like I need to warm up. I need to limber up. I need to train smart. And I find that that's the biggest change as you get older. You just need to respect your body more and pay more attention to mobility, warm-ups, lifting within your means, and just listening to your body. Like having that sensory acuity where like if something doesn't feel right, it's okay not to do it. Like if I'm doing any exercise, like if I'm doing bench press and my shoulders don't feel right, then I say, you know what, today is not a bench press day. I'll scrap it and do something else. Or if I'm doing squats and, my knees or my back or something doesn't feel right, after a couple warm-up sets, I'll say, today's not my day. I'm not going to do this. I'll do something else instead. And I have no problem with that. I'm not going to be one of these guys who say, oh, no pain, no gain, and try and work through the pain. Like you have to have that I don't know what it is. It's like a sixth sense where you just know your body. Like if today is the day where you can push yourself, or today is the day where you got to throw in the towel and say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to scrap that exercise, do something else, or in some cases, maybe even scrap the workout. Like if I go in there and I just feel like for whatever reason, I just aches, pains, soreness, or extra tired, I might say, you know what, I'm not even going to. Today is not a weight training day. I might just go and do an easy walk on the treadmill instead, just to keep active, right? Sometimes I'll have that mentality because I'm thinking long term, right? Like one workout isn't going to make or break your progress, unless you get injured, of course. That could break your progress. But I would much rather skip a workout and remain injury-free and then go into the gym the next day and have a good workout versus having this stupid mindset of, hey, I have to go in there, no pain, no gain, and end up pulling, popping, or snapping something and then laid up with an injury. Because there's nothing that's going to slow your progress down more than getting injured. And it's easier to get injured the older you get because your body just doesn't have the same flexibility and mobility in the joints, tendons, and ligaments as it did when it was younger. All right, where was that? I think I lost my place in my questions just then. Okay, Zim saying, Lee, it's been too long since I've been here, and for good reason. I took the big step that you took some years, and I got married. Well, congratulations, Azim. You've got married. I mean, Azim has been a regular of the video chat for a while. He says, as you know, when you take steps like this, we experience something dangerous. Wait, it's just been 3.5 months, and I feel like I've put on 1,000,000 pounds. Well, I'm sure that's probably just a slight exaggeration, but I'm sure you probably put on some. Says, you've been there and done that. How do I start again? It's good to see and virtually talk to you again. P.S. Sorry for more than 3 comments. All right. You got married. You took a few months off. First off, like, I mean, I'm just speaking freely. Why would you use getting married as an excuse to not work out? Now, again, I don't know your individual situation, but like it shouldn't really change your lifestyle that much. Like if you've been in a relationship and probably like living together and doing your thing, like all marriages is like a formality. Like my wife and I, we were living together for years before we tied the knot. In fact, the only reason we tied the knot and got married is because we wanted to have children, or we only have one child, Harvey, but we wanted to get pregnant and start a family, and we didn't want to do that as single, like having separate last names and all that kind of stuff. We said, let's get married first and then start a family. Do it properly, right? But we've been living together since. I met her in 1999. She moved in with me in, I think it was 2001 or something like that. And we've been together ever since. And we only got married in 2013. So we've had 12 years of living together before we got married. So once we got married, like it didn't really change anything because we were already living together and doing things. So, I mean, I don't understand why you would take 3 months off just because you got married. Now, again, I don't know your personal situation. You might have had a lot more things going on that I'm not aware of, obviously. But bottom line, getting married should not be a reason to let yourself stop looking after your health and fitness. If anything, it should be more motivation. But how do you start again? That's the bottom line, right? That's your question. How do you start again? Like I've been through the slumps. Like in my case, it was when our son was born, right? Because if for people who are new parents, that can have a major impact on you because now you have a baby that's waking up throughout the night. You're not sleeping consistently. And when your sleep is thrown off, that throws off everything else. Like your work performance, your physical performance, your mental clarity. Like if you are operating on only a few hours of sleep and like over the long term, I'm not saying like once in a while you have a bad night's sleep, but I mean like, for months on end, you're being woken up throughout the middle of the night to a crying baby. That takes its toll on you after a while. And when that happened, that's when I really fell off the bandwagon and my workouts went down the crapper. My diet went down the crapper. I ended up just getting fat and out of shape. And you can go to my website and you can see my pictures, right? I mean, I just I looked and felt like crap. And that was the thing that really threw me off. But now our son is a bit older. He's sleeping throughout the night. Like I'm getting decent sleep finally. And I mean, I find once you get the sleep, then you can start laying the pieces back in order. I mean, sleep is so important. It lays the foundation for everything. So, that's what I did to get started again. I mean, you have to just start with the bare bones basics. I mean, if you're not going to the gym, like start with that. Like, don't make it any more complicated than that. Just take one thing at a time and focus on that. So maybe it's just going to the gym, right? Like go to the gym every other day, 3 days a week. And as far as what you do, like a simple total body workout, like I don't even care what you do when you go to the gym. Just go. Make a habit out of showing up. That's the key. Like just show up. Once you have that in place and you've optimized and you're showing up consistently, now we can optimize things. Like you can't optimize something that you haven't standardized. I was having this conversation with some of my coaching students earlier. Like a lot of them are they're struggling to go to the gym on a regular basis, and all the regular stuff. Oh, I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that, or whatever. And I'm like, you have to make time for the gym. Like, you have to schedule it in your calendar, just like you would any other important appointment. You have to make it a habit. It has to be something you do consistently, no matter what. And I said, don't even worry about optimizing it until you've standardized it. Like, if you're not going to the gym consistently, then it doesn't matter what program you're following, whether it's a total body part split, push, pull, legs, like, none of that matters if you're not doing it consistently. Like, just make a habit of showing up consistently. Once you're doing that, then we can focus on optimizing it later on. But get the habit in place first. So show up minimum 3 days a week. When it comes to your nutrition, like, don't overcomplicate it. Just focus on setting some basic habits. Like, for me, 2 of my nutrition habits that I follow faithfully, every single meal has to start with protein and vegetables, no matter what. I don't care if it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, every meal, protein and vegetables. That's the start of the meal. Once I eat that, then I can eat some other foods like the carbohydrates or the, fats or whatever, but protein and veggies lay the foundation for my meal no matter what. And that is my habit, and I will not break it. And to give you some examples, like, a meal might start with a large garden salad, and then I might have the protein could be chicken, fish, meat, whatever, and then the carbohydrates. It could be rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, something along those lines. But it's always those core habits. Even if I'm out at a restaurant, like, I'll always order a salad to start with. Like, that's get the veggies in there. Of course, the main course is always going to contain some sort of protein, meat, chicken, fish of some sort, and then the carbohydrates that I have afterwards, the rice, the potato, or whatever. I mean, always focus on those fundamentals so that you get the well-balanced nutrition, get the consistency with your workouts, and just literally take it one step at a time. Focus on mastering these little tiny habits. Don't focus on the results. Focus on the habits. If that's the key. If you're trying to get started again, like, don't think, oh, I got to lose 20 pounds. I got to try and do this. I got to try and do that. No, you just got to focus on the habit. Show up to the gym. Focus on improving your eating. Be consistent with your eating. Get to sleep at a regular time each night. Do all those things. Like, if you focus on the habits, the goals will take care of themselves. If you just focus on the goals and not optimizing the habits, like, you're going to be struggling, and you're going to end up being disappointed with yourself. That's where I see a lot of people going wrong is they'll set these goals. Like, they say, well, I want to lose 30 pounds, but they don't optimize their habits and systems that are going to allow them to lose the 30 pounds. They just focus on, I want to lose 30 pounds. And then, a month goes by, 2 months go by, and they're like, I haven't lost my 30 pounds. Oh, what am I doing wrong? I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting pissed off because I haven't lost my weight yet. Like, forget the goal, focus on the system, right? A great quote, and I'm going to take this from a book that I just read. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he says, we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So if your system for getting in shape sucks, it doesn't matter how grand your goals are, your results will suck. Forget the goal, focus on the system of going to the gym and doing your workouts, the system of planning your meals and getting that underway, the system of having a good night's sleep and all these healthy lifestyle choices. If you have the system in place, it doesn't matter if you have a goal or not, because it's inevitable that following the system will help you to improve your physical health and fitness. So that's how you start again. I know it was a long rant, but hopefully it was helpful. All right, guys, we've been going for over an hour now, so I'm probably going to clue this up. I know there's a ton of questions coming through. Let's see what else we've got. I'm just going to scroll through and randomly pick a question and answer one more before I clue it up. Let's see. Zim saying, thanks, really appreciate it. You're welcome, my friend. All right. Let's see. Woodylos is saying the clock's changed and he missed most of the live chat. Oh, sorry about that, my friend. I know you're from over in the UK, so I'm not sure when the time zones change over in your neck of the woods, but we're still operating in regular time as of right now. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm just going to answer one more question. Great words to link with the junk food. Okay, that's from Mohammed. Can we use contact lenses while we're working out? Is it safe? Yeah, you can wear contacts while you work out. I know a lot of people who do. That should not cause a problem. It's not a major question here that I'm looking for. Is something to kind of like go out with the final question of the chat. Let's see. Jeremiah is saying, I stopped lifting heavy weights because of joint pain, so now I focus more on volume, doing high reps in the 10 to 12 range, more exercises. Is it okay to sacrifice heavy weight for volume training? Yeah, it is okay to do that. And quite honestly, you have to adjust your workouts based on where you're at with your body, your mobility, and everything else. Like in my own workouts, I'm not lifting heavy like I used to. Like back in the early 2000s, say like up until around maybe 2000, from 2002 to probably around 2007 was the phase where I was really focusing on powerlifting and power bodybuilding, lifting heavy. You know, I competed in powerlifting back then as well, and I was really focused on heavy weights. And that's during that phase is when I was set all my biggest lifts. And I mean, like they were my personal best lifts. I know by today's standards and that they weren't huge, but my best bench press was 445 pounds. My best squat was 515, and I believe my best deadlift was 525. Somewhere in those. The squat and deadlift might be reversed. I know one was like 515 and one was 525. I can't remember if it was the squat or the deadlift, which was more. But bottom line, 400-pound bench and 500-pound squat and deadlift. That was my personal best lifts back then. I would not be able to handle that now. Like there's no way on God's green earth I would move that kind of weight right now. If I even tried, I would end up pulling, tearing, snapping, something, right? My body just can't handle that kind of weight anymore. So I focus on just working within my means. Like I focus on volume. I focus on feeling the muscles work, stretch, contract, getting a pump. I mean, yeah, so it's more volume training. Like if you I kid you not, last Sunday at church, the minister came down to me afterwards and he says, look, I know you work out. He says, I got to ask you, he says, how much can you bench press? And like, I don't know. Like I told him this story. I said, like, I haven't done a 1 rep max in God knows how long, right? Like it's literally, well, it's been since the mid 2000s, right? So I don't know what my 1 rep max in anything is anymore because I don't do it. And I haven't done it in over 10 years. And I have no intentions because to me, 1 rep max equals pulling, tearing, or popping something. And that's not what I'm at this stage of the game. So it's totally fine to adjust your training based on how your body is responding. Like if you have no goals of being a power lifter, a strongman, or a weightlifter, or anything like that, you don't have to do heavy lifting. If your goal is just to build muscle, improve your health and fitness, and reap the benefits of exercise, you can do that lifting, you know, in the 10 to 12 repetition range. Absolutely. I mean, that's what I do personally. I mean, I'm lean, I'm healthy, I feel good, I don't have any aches or pains, no injuries, knock on wood. I mean, I feel good, and I'm not pushing myself with heavy weights. So, I mean, absolutely. That's as you get older, that's going to become more of a priority. And I know we had a question earlier, like what some of the differences between younger lifters and older lifters. That's one of them. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying that, you know, you can't lift heavy as you get older. I mean, some guys do. Some guys actually hit their personal best, you know, in their 40s, 50s, and beyond in terms of their strength. And for those that do, I mean, kudos to them. But more often than not, people who are in heavy power sports like that, most of the guys that I know who've been doing powerlifting and stuff like that for years, they're riddled with injuries. Most of them are. Some of them very serious injuries. I'm talking like tendon and ligament and muscle tears, not just aches, pains, and pulls, but like full-on tears. You know, injuries that require surgery and you know, serious shit, right? Like that. And like, I have no desire to push myself to that limit and risk that kind of injury. Like, I don't want to be laid up recovering from surgery. I just want to look and feel good and feel healthy. So that's why I adjust my workouts accordingly, right? I'm not trying to set no records. I'm not trying to be the strongest guy in the gym anymore and all that stuff. I'm just doing this for longevity, health, and fitness, and, you know, to enjoy the process. So yeah, it's absolutely fine to adjust your workouts like that. You don't have to be the ego lifter constantly trying to see how much you can lift. And with that being said, I'm going to clue up the video chat for today. So hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions and support. As always, we will have the replay of this along with the timestamps for all the different questions covered posted up within the next 24 hours. So if you want to watch the replays, and you can certainly do that. In the meantime, if you would like some help with your own workouts, your own nutrition plan, or you just have some questions that you would like to ask me that maybe I didn't get a chance to answer on the video chat, or something that you would prefer to discuss and not have it publicly posted all over YouTube, send me an email at leeh@leehayward.com, and I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you. And in the meantime, have yourself a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week.